right. How's everybody doing? Tell me right quickly. How are you doing? And I'm going to get into the teaching. How are you doing? Let me know. How are you doing on this particular evening? Talk to me and let me know how you're doing. How are you doing? Because I do want to know exactly how you're doing tonight quickly. Just responding in the comments. Your um, interpretation of your life will not be judged here. Whatever you think is what you think. I just want to know. Somebody says good. Who else? Who else? Let me know how you're doing. Somebody else says good. I'm glad to hear that. Anyone else want to share? Want to share? Even if you are not feeling well, it's fine. It's fine. Just let us know how you're doing, how your day is going thus far. Somebody says, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that on Facebook as well. All right. So, as you can see, there are five key things that I'm sharing that are a part of shifting your identity from a spiritual and mental standpoint. And I also want to remind you before I elaborate further that the part 2 to the benefits of fasting is in also the private Facebook group, the mental and physical benefits of fasting. Make sure that you check it out. It's a short video, only like 20 minutes or so. So here, affirmations is what I want to discuss today. I wanted to take a few teaching sessions to lay the groundwork as to why these five things that I mentioned here that are keys to identity shifting will work. And so we've kind of laid some groundwork, a little groundwork, and I want to go further while we're in this season to lay out the five keys or the five ways you can shift your identity. And I'm going to begin with affirmation. So I want you to know that this is part 1 to this particular teaching. It is part 1. I thought I was going to be able to do all of the affirmation teaching in one setting, but I'm going to just start with part 1 tonight, and I'm going to give you some information from a physical or scientific standpoint as to why affirmations work and the impact that affirmations have on us. So I'm going to start with your brain tonight. So I want you to type in the comments section, the brain. The brain. I want you to type in the comments section, the brain. The reason why I'm starting with the brain is because sometimes when we start having these kinds of discussions on how to identity shift, which essentially is the ability to manifest a new you, sometimes people think this is hocus pocus or it's mysticism or it's pure spiritual theory, so forth and so on, when there is really science to back up this teaching. There is science from studies to back up this teaching. So I'm going to begin with the brain. Now, remember, I personally believe that your brain is not really totally responsible for what we call consciousness. I believe that your brain is a physical control center, a physical apparatus per se, that is controlled by the mind. And I believe that the mind is invisible. I also believe that the mind is part of your spirit essence or your spirit being. Consider this before I get into elaborating further on affirmations. Consider that people have had NDEs, or what they call near-death experiences, or death experiences, where they came out of their physical bodies, could see it laying on the table in the operating room, the bed in the hospital, or wherever it was they came out of their body, or wherever it was their body was located when they had a death experience. And all of the faculties they had while they were in their physical body, they had in their spiritual form, or what some would call the astral form. So all the reckonings, not the reckonings, excuse me, but the functions or the abilities of that we know as the five senses existed when that person was in purely spirit form. Okay. So this is relative to our conversation, because I want you to understand that if these things were just attached to your physicality, your physical being, you would not have them in spirit form. So that helps us to understand that these things are not only just hardwired to the brain and the physical body, but they're also a part of your spiritual essence, your spiritual being. So as we move into discussing affirmations and how it connects to identity shifting, I want you to realize that your brain is an important component to you being able to shift your identity. So as I talk about the brain tonight and the physiology or the physiological uh, expressions or the physiological pertinence that is attached to shifting, next week I'm going to get into the spiritual and metaphysical components, or the relevance as it relates to identity shifting, because that is a whole nother discussion that is transcendent of what I'm discussing here on tonight. Now, the word affirmations comes from the word affirming, and the root word is affirm. But the word affirming means validate, confirm, to state positively. Validate, confirm, to state positively. So whatever our affirmation is, or whatever it is we are affirming, we want to validate, we want to confirm, and we want to state positively what we believe we are. What we believe we are. Okay. So an affirmation is going to be something that we are thinking and speaking about ourselves. It is something that we are thinking and speaking about ourselves. And affirmations can be done, and they are done daily, in a negative or positive way. So you can negatively affirm yourself by thinking negative things about yourself. For example, if you repetitiously say to yourself, I'm not pretty, I'm not smart, and opportunities do not come my way, that is an affirmation. You're saying it inwardly, you're affirming it in your thoughts, and then many times when you speak it out, what you think, you're affirming it in your speech. And of course, you can affirm it in your actions too, in the way that you act. That is an affirmation. But then there are positive affirmations. Good things are always coming my way. Opportunities always present themselves to me. I am lovely. I am a person who loves. I'm a person who is magnetic. I'm a person who's charismatic. Good things always come my way. That's an affirmation too, that you say in your mind and that you say out of your mouth. That would be considered positive affirmations or positive affirming. So we got the definition out of the way. So I felt it was important that I kind of give you some of the self-affirmation theory that was created by Claude M. Steele, who it was a or is a social psychologist and is a professor emeritus at Stanford University. He's the one who came up with the name self-affirmation theory. So let's type that in the comments section, self-affirmation theory. Let's type that in the comment section. I just typed it, self-affirmation theory. I'm going to put it up on the screen briefly. Self-affirmation theory. Self-affirmation theory. Self-affirmation theory. I want you to type that quickly in the comment section, self-affirmation theory. Okay. Self-affirmation theory. Type that quickly in the comment section. Self-affirmation theory. All right. Self-affirmation theory. I'm getting ready to define what that is for you in just a few minutes. This is part 3 of the identity shift. Part 3 of the identity shift. Let's see who's typed it already. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So let me define it for you. This is important. Once again, a lot of times when you hear spiritual teachers teach, or we have skeptics and they think, okay, they're talking this spiritual stuff that can't be validated, they can't be proven. Yes, it can. And I'm a firm believer that there is an explanation somehow, some way that would eventually align itself with spiritual things and supernatural things. We may not discover it in our lifetime, but eventually science emerges to just confirm the experience. Science doesn't necessarily validate, it just emerges to confirm the experience. Let me define or share with you what the self-affirmation theory is. I need to get this to you because I want you to have the intellectual side of it as well. And this definition was taken from the APA, or the American Psychological Association or Psychology Association Dictionary. It's the concept that people are motivated to maintain views of themselves, as well as adapted, moral, competent, stable, and able to control important outcomes. Important outcomes. This is a part of the self-affirmation theory. When some of this aspect of this self-view is challenged, people experience psychological discomfort. They may attempt to reduce this discomfort by directly resolving the inconsistency between the new information and the self by affirming some other aspect of self or both. Self-affirmation theory has been used as an alternative to cognitive dissonance theory for explaining some phenomena. Now, when we start using affirmations, listen to me, fam. When you and I start using affirmations, we are using it to create an image and an identity that we desire. We are using it to create an image and an identity of ourselves and of our lives that we desire. This is why we are affirming. So as a part of this definition that I just read, I reread it, they may attempt to reduce this discomfort directly, resolving the inconsistency between the new information and the self by affirming some other aspect of self or both. So basically, when something negative happens, sometimes people create an affirmation to counteract, or they believe to counteract their experience in terms of contradiction. So something is happening that's inconsistent with their known reality, and they create an affirmation to try and align the new inconsistent experience with their general experiences. I teach you affirmations, and many teachers are teaching you affirmations. In scripture, we call them what's the word? It's not affirmations, confessions. We use the word confessions. We teach this because we know that it is a way to program you as a being to change your circumstance. So what you typically know as normal circumstances or reality, affirmations has the power, if you embrace it and receive it, to shift you from that. So these affirmations that we create is actually new information that we are presenting to our mind and presenting to ourselves consciously and subconsciously to change our reality. Am I making any sense thus far? So this is what affirmations are for. And I'll give you scripture next week as I get into the spiritual and metaphysical side, or the metaphysical definitions and the metaphysical power that goes along with affirmations. So there are basically three keys to the self-affirmation theory. Three keys to the self-affirmation theory. The first key is that we keep up narratives or keep up a narrative about ourselves. In this narrative, we are flexible, moral, and capable of adapting to different circumstances. This makes up our self-identity. So when you learn how to affirm or use affirmations, you are saying that I have a choice. That choice means that there is flexibility. That means that my situation is not so rigid, so hard, or so difficult that it cannot be changed. And we're saying it can be changed. In other words, when people develop a state of consciousness where they believe that they are stuck with something, then you are saying that there is no choice for you to change. Are you following me? When people think something is permanent, you have parked there intellectually and psychologically. You have parked at the place of where you say it's permanent, which means there is no flexibility for change. So as you look at your personal life, think about this. Think about what your career is. Some people think that they are that where they are now in their career, there is no moving up. Why do they think that? Well, for a myriad of reasons. They could be thinking it because of they're defining their career elevation by education or lack of education. They could be defining their elevation in their career being stunted or stopped by gender or by color or race. Are you seeing what I'm saying? So there are a myriad of reasons why people place permanent or permanence or define something permanently. When you define something permanently, then you are saying there is no room for growth and there is no room for change. This is where affirmations come in, because when people start positively affirming, they are acknowledging my situation isn't permanent. They're acknowledging change is possible, whether it be change on the outside or change on the inside. And remember, I always teach we live from the inside out. So let's just remind ourselves right now, come on, let's type, we live from the inside out. I hit the wrong button. Come on, let's type it in the comments. We live from the inside out. We live from the inside out. This is how we live. We live from the inside out. So when I start affirming flexibility, the possibility of flexibility, when I start affirming change on the inside, then I'm creating a reality based on that affirmation that will eventually resonate outside of me, transmit outside of me, and manifest into something in the outer world. Key number 2, maintaining self-identity is not about being exceptional, perfect, or excellent. Rather, we just need to be competent and adequate in different areas that we personally value in order to be moral, flexible, and good. So I like this second key because affirming or using affirmation is not about perfection. Now, it can be about improvement, but it's not about perfection. It is about us understanding, us recognizing that we have a competence or a competency level in different areas of our lives, and we have the ability as we choose to enhance or grow or shift those areas of our lives into something better. Okay. And then key number 3, we maintain self-integrity by acting in ways that authentically merit acknowledgement and praise. So we're not going to create an affirmation that we don't vibe with, that we don't connect with. okay, or that we don't desire, okay? We're going to create something that produces results that will, when people acknowledge it, they will celebrate it and we will be thankful for it. All right. So now watch this. The power of affirmations as it relates to neuroscience. Now consider this again. We're talking about thinking and speaking. I want you to type it in the comment section. Thinking and speaking. Just type thinking and speaking. Thinking and speaking right quick. You're in class. Thinking and speaking. Typing and writing things helps you to remember it. Thinking and speaking. So type that. Thinking and speaking. If you got a notepad, write it down. You remember more when you actually write using a pen or paper on a pad. Your brain retains it longer. Thinking and speaking. Affirmations, when we utilize affirmations, we're affirming it within, in our thoughts, of course, also in our imagination. I could have added that. Thinking, imagining, and speaking. So our imagination is affirming whatever it is we are desiring to affirm about ourselves. And then we speak it. Our speech affirms or agrees with what we're thinking or what we're imagining. Those three things must harmonize. So sometimes people are thinking something, but they're imagining something different. And sometimes people are imagining something, but they're speaking something different. They must be in alignment. All right. So if you say that I am a money magnet, or if you're grateful that you're a money magnet and that is your affirmation, then you need to think, imagine, and speak it. In your conversations with people, you don't need to say something that's contradictory to what you have in your heart just to appease them. You need to speak whatever it is you believe in terms of your thinking and your imagination. So let's consider science, scientific information about affirmations. Scientific information about affirmations. MRI evidence says neural pathways are increased when we affirm or when we speak. So the ventral medial prefrontal cortex involved in positive valuation and self-related information processing becomes more active when we use affirmations. When we use affirmations, okay? It becomes also more active when we consider our personal values, which also become a part of our activation system. So the ventral medial prefrontal cortex, okay, is more activated or lit up under scans, MRI scans, when we affirm. So the brain is a part of the affirmation process, okay? Let me move on. Inner dialogue, this once again is affirmation, because when I'm affirming something, I'm talking to myself. It is self-talk. It is me using my inner voice to say new things to myself, okay? Good works on my behalf, or things always work for my good, or things are rigged in life to work for my good. If that is my affirmation, my brain lights up to that. My brain takes notice of that. Okay. Now, this inner dialogue makes something reality in the mind. Okay. Something reality in the mind. All right. So, in other words, when we use language and positive self-talk, okay, when you and I use language and positive self-talk, it intercepts and reshapes perceptions. Okay. So you can use this language and positive self-talk to intercept and reshape perceptions, to intercept and reshape perceptions. Let me find my definition of perceptions. I could say it off the top of my head, but I intentionally wrote it down for you on purpose. Let me give you the definition of perception and perspective right quick. Perception is what you interpret. It is your understanding of a given situation, person, or object. It is your understanding. It is the meaning you assign to any given stimulus. Affirmation has the ability to change your understanding and your meaning. Are you following me? So, for example, if you're operating under a perception that based on what you have constructed as a series of things that have happened to you in your past experience, that people don't like you because of your attitude, then when you're in the presence of people, you're going to act a certain way based on what you believe. And you have affirmed that within yourself, that people treat me differently because they don't like my attitude. And it's merely misunderstanding, but so you expect to be treated differently. That's your affirmation. You're expected to be treated differently because you think people don't like your attitude. Then that is your perception. In other words, so let's take this a step further. So when people come up to you and have a conversation with you, there may be certain words they're using that they didn't mean negatively or harshly. But because your affirmation, which is now part of your belief system, your psychological construct, the paradigm from which you think and speak from which you think and process from, says people treat you differently because they misunderstand your attitude or don't understand you, and they think you're having an attitude when you aren't. Then you'll be in conversations with people who that from their perspective, they're harmless conversations that your perception will tell you are harmful conversations. Are you following me? You will be interpreting or adopting as a part of your perception something that you might consider to be offensive, that person is not saying offensively, or in their heart when they're speaking it to you, there is no offense attached to it. But your perception interprets it as offensive. Am I making any sense? We get to this point in our lives because we are constantly affirming these negative beliefs. And perspective is your point of view. It's the lens you see the world through and determines how you view yourself, others, and everything else around you. This is from Perception of Reality Controls Perspective by Pauline Roos Moore. So the perspective is the point of view. It's like the lens that we see our lives through. Let me continue on with this. Let's see, where was I? So once again, the power of inner dialogue or affirmation is that if we've got negative stuff, negative thoughts going on in our mind, through inner dialogue, we can intercept and reshape those perceptions. Isn't this powerful? Isn't this powerful? I know within myself, I had a lot of bad perceptions and perspectives about things. It didn't make me a bad person. It didn't mean that, I wasn't, as they say, quote unquote, anointed and powerful and being used by God. No, there were just some things that were placed in me and some things I adopted along the way as a perception and a perspective that limited me from inviting certain good things and good people into my life. But I learned by using affirmations that I could reshape all of those things. I continue with this definition. It says this is called, when you're able to intercept and reshape perceptions through inner dialogue. This is called top-down processing. You can use executive function of the prefrontal cortex, or what they call in this article the upbrain, to send declarative messages, which means a declaration message, to your more subconscious, what they call the downbrain, where implicit memories are formed and stored to create an optimistic perspective, which is a viewpoint of the world. This is from an article I read in Psychology Today. Psychology Today. So they're acknowledging in psychology that your prefrontal cortex has the ability to send positive information to what they call the downbrain, or more the subconscious aspect of your being, to basically reshape your perspective on life. Isn't this powerful? Listen, you don't have to go to church to get this. Nobody has to lay their hands on you for you to receive this. This is something that you initiate as a powerful spirit being who possesses a soul and lives in a body, as a powerful spirit being who inhabits a body, and from the physical apparatus of the brain alone, not even talking about spiritual power, just using brain power, learning how to, through affirmations, change the inner dialogue. You can change your perspective and your perception. Wow, this is so powerful. I continue giving you more science. They said in another article, when our mind is focused on uplifting words, and this is what I'm teaching you to do, use affirmations that are positive and uplifting. When our mind is focused on uplifting words, pleasure chemicals like dopamine are released, and the reward center of the brain is stimulated. Our sense of stress and anxiety is reduced, and the body is able to relax and thus focus on maintenance and healing, according to Dr. Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Wallman, who are powerful researchers in the neuroscience field. Can I give you a fact, a fun fact that you probably didn't know and connect to your church experience? When you hear a good message that you like, dopamine is released in your brain. Catch what I'm saying? Dopamine is released in your brain. And watch this. When I say a good message, that's relative, because what's good to you may not be good to somebody else. Watch this. So if a good message to you, I got to go on and go there with your family. If a good message to you is about beating up people about their faults and sins, if you consider that to be a good message that makes God happy, then you have incorporated that as your perception. So guess what you want to hear? Turn that down. So guess what you want to hear that makes you happy all the time? You want to hear a message about beating people up. You want to hear a message about sin. That's what you want to hear, a message that stimulates that part of your brain that has been trained to interpret this is good, 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 good. Okay. Another example of this is if you thrive off of self-deprecation, always putting yourself down. So if putting yourself down protects your heart and protects you from what you perceive to be failure or disappointed, and it makes you feel good because it is a protective mechanism, whenever you say negative things about yourself, watch this, there is something that's going to be released in you to support that because you like that. So a lot of our experiences, watch this, that we are attributing to the anointing, making us feel better, to the word making us feel better, is simply you and I, our brains have been trained to respond to these as good things and release dopamine, once again, which is a pleasure chemical in our body to make us feel good in the moment. Lord have mercy. So when our mind is focused on uplifting words, pleasure chemicals like dopamine are released, and the reward center of the brain is stimulated. The reward center of the brain is stimulated. Our sense of stress and anxiety is reduced, and the body is able to relax and thus focus on the maintenance and healing. So when we're able to use uplifting words, okay, and we start training our brain to receive these uplifting words, then guess what? Dopamine is released, and we feel the sense of reward. We feel the sense of pleasure. We feel the sense of even relaxation. This feels so good. This just feels right. Yes, you just want to celebrate. Okay. Once again, I'm sharing with you the power of affirmations, which in medical science, they're talking about inner words that we speak to ourselves. All right. Newberg and Wallman again said, concentrating on positive thoughts concentrating on positive thoughts, Lord have mercy, can't even read my own handwriting. Oh, can shrink. I'm sorry. This is terrible. Can shrink the brain fear center which is known as the amygdala. Okay, so once again, when we concentrate on positive words, it can shrink the amygdala, which is known as the brain center. It can make us also smarter, listen to this, by increasing the thickness of the neocortex, which is associated with higher order thinking. My God, did anybody know all of this was a benefit of positive self-talk, positive affirmation? Did you know that this existed in science? My God. And so once again, positive thoughts, listen to this, changes the perception. Positive thoughts changes the perception of self and others. And this happens in your parietal lobe in your brain. This is so powerful. So once again, there's science to prove that when you start using affirmations, okay? Next week, I'm going to talk about death and life being in the power of the tongue. Next week, I'm going to talk about as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. We read from scripture and other texts, but this is scientifically proven. This is scientifically proven, okay? So now let me just add to this before I get into some of the benefits, and I'll be done for tonight, some of the additional benefits. So when all this good stuff, family, starts happening in your brain, studies have proven that it motivates people. What does it motivate people to do? To manifest their goals. It motivates people to manifest their goals. It helps people to manifest their goals. Do you catch what I'm saying? It helps people. There might be a person who says, I can't do. But once they introduce positive affirmations in their mind, guess what happens? They start believing they can do. So then they start utilizing action to move toward the goal that they have already achieved and attained, or believe they can achieve and attain inwardly. Are you catching what I'm saying? Remember this. Remember this. Remember this. You might not hear this too many places, but remember this. It's not God that's stopping most people. It's not who we call the devil that's stopping most people. It is ourselves. We are the ones who are stopping ourselves, and we're stopping ourselves based on what we think about ourselves, based on what we believe about ourselves, based on our personal opinions about ourselves. I am so tired of this codependency on God and codependency on the devil stuff. Yes, I said it, codependency on the devil. Some of y'all looking for the devil. You talking up a bad situation and a bad circumstance. You hope the devil opposes you because it makes you look like you're real, and you're using the rationale that the devil stopped me. He closed the door. The reason I slammed my foot in the door is because the devil did it, and he just wanted to discourage me. No, you were clumsy. There was poor coordination between your brain and your hands and your feet. That's why you closed it on your foot. Are you following what I'm saying? I want you to hear me real clearly, family. This scientific information that I'm sharing with you helps you to understand that your brain will come into alignment with whatever you think, with whatever you tell it, with whatever you feed it, with whatever you affirm it to believe. It will either accept or reject it. And it is a part of your reality creation experience. Your reality is going to be filtered through your brain. Even your health is filtered through your brain. Are y'all following what I'm saying? I want you to hear me real clearly. I've shared this with you. Everything exists is on the fundamental quantum level made up of atoms. Okay? And then we move up. Bunches of millions of atoms eventually make what we call a cell, which is tiny. And scientists have discovered that there's consciousness in cells. I think that that's a powerful thing, because what that shows, even in Dr. Emoto's work with water that he did in the 90s, and I'm going to talk more about that in the future, is that everything has consciousness that's a part of it. And that consciousness responds to what we think and what we speak. Hear me real clearly, family. So when you start training your brain to adopt who and what you are, God's definition of you, the best version of you, then you'll start talking the best version of you. You'll start speaking things in your world that are in alignment with the best version of you. So listen to this. Listen to this. Yes, it is possible for people to have good jobs, but crappy thinking. But I guarantee you that crappy thinking is manifesting in relationships. It's manifesting in their health. Come on now. So having a good job means that they are able to affirm to get a good job, but they have not affirmed to keep a relationship intact. They have not affirmed to have balance or unity in their family. Are you following what I'm saying? But the brain responds to all of our thinking and all of what we imagine and all of what we believe. Am I making any sense here tonight? Once again, we're talking about affirmations and the brain's response. So the brain literally changes based on what you tell it, based on your thoughts. Oh, this is so powerful. It literally changes. And once the brain changes, watch this, it is reflected in your behavior and reflected in your outer world what that reality is. My. Somebody, am I making any sense? So when you start positively affirming, it'll move you out of darkness into light. When you start positively affirming, it'll move you out of brokenness into abundance. Come on now. See, I don't even want to get into this discussion tonight, but I've shared it with you before. Okay, I've shared it with you before. Energy, there is what they call cognitive energy. And the energy that you and I possess is not self-retentive, or it's not self-retaining, excuse me. It transmits. That's another component of positive thinking. It doesn't just stay with you, it's contagious. And that energy leaves your body. It leaves your physical body and travels. It travels in the atmosphere, okay? And it creates or discreates. It manifests, whatever. I need you to see the power of this. Your brain is involved in this whole process. Let me give you what they consider to be some benefits of the self-affirmation theory or self-affirming. Number one, it decreases health deteriorating stress. It decreases health deteriorating stress. People who use affirmations or have positive self-talk or talk to themselves positively, okay, science says in one article I read that I didn't list here, that it releases cortisol, more cortisol in a healthy way to help reduce stress. Just because, listen to this, you are thinking positively. Just because you are thinking on good, beneficial things. Are you following what I'm saying? The next benefit is it helps increase physical behavior. Athletes do this all the time. They positively self-affirm. They positively self-affirm. So there are times when I'm working out, there's a certain amount of push-ups I want to do. Okay. And what do? Sometimes I set the top goal. Other times I set the middle goal. And when I get close to the middle goal, I move it up in my mind. Watch this. But when I move it up in my mind, I'm seeing myself having accomplished the 30 push-ups. And I think, no, I don't have time to get into it. I'll get into it when we get into meditation. When we get into meditation, I'm going to pull out that study that I shared with you all about comparing athletes just meditating, mainly meditating and a little physical activity. There are 5 different groups. I'll get into all that. But I'm trying to show you the power of positive affirmations or affirmations in general on your brain. It can improve your physical behavior. So listen to this. If you tell yourself, and this is one of the things I started learning when I started working out again years ago and so forth and so on. When you use the treadmill, for example, and I like the high intensity interval training, they call it HIIT, but that's neither here or there. I'm bringing this up to say You got to train your mind to enjoy the process. If you overdo it, and this is what some people do, they don't work out in a long time, so they get on there and they trying to run 5 miles. Okay, and they say they get 5 miles done, they're extremely tired. And then they say, well, I haven't lifted weights in a while, so they go in there and try and go, say they normally lift 300, 400, they try and start at 200 and 250. And when they're done, what you have done is you've left a bad impression on your mind, because all your muscles are telling you this is killing me, this is terrible, we don't like this. And what happens is you've set up an image and set up a thought in the mind that is distasteful. So now when it's time to go back, you might have a string where you do well for a week, but eventually the mind is going to rehearse the unpleasantries of the encounter or the interaction. Okay. And so what will eventually happen is it won't want to do it anymore. And since it won't want to do it anymore, then this is your motivation not to do it. Not to do it. Are you following what I'm saying? So this is what I want you to understand. This is what I want you to see. See if you can open it. This is what I want you to see, is that it is important that you program yourself with affirmations. You start yourself out a little bit at a time where it's a pleasant experience for your body, and your body won't mind repeating it. Okay. Number 4, you're less likely to dismiss harmful messages and be willing to change. You're less likely to dismiss harmful messages and be willing to change. In other words, when you get a message that doesn't agree with you or that appears to be harmful, okay, you won't panic. You'll entertain it. There are some people that I don't want to know, I don't want to know, don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me, because they know in the way that they process things that they're going to process it through a negative filter, and it's going to manifest negative results in their life. Okay. But people who positively affirm can handle the challenging news. They know how to process it. It's also been shown in studies number 4. Okay. Number 5, academic achievement. Academic achievement. All right. When people positively affirm, they excel academically. There's something about telling yourself you're smart and intelligent. And let me help you with something right now. If you're saying I'm not intelligent, I'm not smart, I can't do math, I can't do algebra, I'm not good at English, or I'm not good with people, stop it. Stop it. That's negative affirming or negative affirmations. Please stop talking down to yourself. Please stop insulting yourself. That is an affirmation that is training your brain not to comprehend certain things. It is training your brain to believe you can or cannot do something. And in this case, it's training your brain to believe you can't do. Hear me real clearly, family. This is powerful, powerful stuff. And then number 6, it lowers stress and rumination. Lower stress and rumination. In other words, when we positively affirm, stress levels go down. Stress levels go down. Okay, you're creating a reality within yourself, okay, that I'm in control, that things work out for the good. Are you following me? And you might be in the midst of a crisis, but you won't let the crisis define you. You will define the crisis. And let me repeat that in a different way. Family, don't let the crisis define you. Don't let the trouble define you. Don't let people who are opposing you define you. You define the experience. You interpret the experience. Listen to this, through the lens of whatever your powerful, positive affirmation is. Train your brain to believe that good works for you. Train your brain to believe all things work together. Train your brain to believe no matter how dark it may seem to be, there's always light somewhere. Train your brain to believe that you always come out on top. Train your brain to believe that the whole universe is conspiring to bless you, to empower you, to make sure you have the best experience possible. Are you following me? Listen, if you start affirming things like that, oh, it will change you so radically. And that God part of you that I've been talking to you about will be so active in your personal life because you will give it permission. You will give it permission to respond in the most positive ways, no matter what happens. Oh my goodness. That's all I got for y'all today. That's all I got for my wonderful family today. I want y'all to really, really, really consider what I presented today. Let me know. Give me some feedback right quick. What did you think? What did you think about tonight's presentation? Did you learn something tonight? Did you learn something tonight? Talk back to me. Did you learn something tonight? Talk back to me. Did this give you more understanding, even from a biological, physiological, natural perspective of the power of affirmations and how it changes you? Talk to me real quick. Talk to me real quick. I'm preparing to sign off, but talk to me real quick. Did this help anybody? Did this empower anybody? Did this strengthen anybody? Talk back to me. Somebody said amen. Anybody else? Anybody else? So I wanted to start with your brain and how affirmations, which is how we talk to ourselves in a negative or positive sense, trains the brain, conditions the brain. Next week, I'm going to get into the spiritual and metaphysical side of how powerful it is to literally use spirit power to shift your identity. Somebody says amen. Somebody says awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Those who came on late, go back to the top of this video. You want to see it. You want to see it. It helps connect a few more dots. Okay, a few more dots. All right, somebody else says it's helping them out. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I want to thank some of y'all. You've already, all right. I release you tonight. Love y'all. Shalom, shalom, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. Nothing missing, nothing broken. In the name above all other names, it is Jesus the Christ, the Yeshua HaMashua, the Jesus Christos. It is so, and so it is. Enjoy your day and continue to recognize that when you positively affirm, you're changing this. Have a great day.